Hi, welcome to Let's Talk About Health with myself and Denise Tam.
Hi.
For those of you who don't know Denise is a holistic nutritionist, and I've invited her today to go through the topic that we're going to talk about, which is immunity. It's one of those topics that have been happening over the last few weeks. You know, clients have been sick, clients have been canceling, and you know, people have been asking, you know, how do I build my immunity up so that way I can really, first of all, prevent myself getting sick, and if I do get sick, then, you know, how do I get myself as quickly as we can? So, like I said, you know, what we're going to do is going to talk a little bit about, you know, immunity and how it applies to what I practice as like the three pillars of health. Now, there's actually 6: mindset, breathing, hydration, nutrition, movement, and sleep. And today we're going to talk about the 3 ones that here, which is nutrition, hydration, and of course sleep. And so, so I'd like to sort of kick it off. You know, what we're going to talk about is like how do we build our immunity based around those 3 things. And the first one we're going to go into is sleep. So sleep is always, you know, I look at sleep now, and you might feel the same, is that, you know, sleep is like the new nutrition. You know, in the few years before, everyone was like, oh, what am I supposed to eat? But now it's like, you know, how do I get a good quality sleep? And the thing is with sleep is that, you know, if you get sleep, it's the #1 healer. So if you can get more sleep, then you'll be able to heal your body without even having to take drugs most of the time.
Absolutely.
Right?
Because our body, innate, it does what it needs to do when we sleep, and that's like the recovery stage. And as you know, as a personal fitness coach, you can train all you want, but if you're not recovering well, then you're gonna pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point, because the thing is like, if I'm not getting good quality sleep, then I generally wake up even more sore than if I get a good quality sleep and I've trained the day before.
Yeah.
So how do you get a good quality sleep?
Well, it's really, I mean, there's a lot of planning involved, but I think really what it comes down to is just being aware of your environment first and foremost. So for myself, I definitely need to have like my blackout blinds, and you know, some people might be able to fall asleep with even like the blinds open. In Hong Kong though, I wouldn't really suggest that, because any kind of light, even like light from your alarm clock or light from like your charging station, that will affect like your melatonin production and getting actually like really good quality sleep. Because we talk a lot about sleep, but you know, some people, oh yeah, I get my 7-8 hours, but it's less so about quantity. Of course, quantity matters, but the quality of it. You know, making sure we're going through all the waves of REM and light and of course deep sleep, which is where all the healing takes place.
What would you say to someone who has trouble getting to sleep?
Well, of course it depends on why. So it could be, you know, a racing mind, can't fall asleep, so maybe that's where like some calming herbs like a chamomile tea. I actually have a lot of great results with GABA, but just, you know, being able to switch off earlier as well. Sometimes with like minds that just keep fluttering, it could be stimulation from your phone, or you know, you're checking your emails a little bit too late or after work.
I'm like that.
or even, you know, watching a Netflix that you shouldn't be
that sort
watching,
of hypes you up, right? Yeah.
So all of these things are things just to be like mindful of. You know, what is it that's keeping me up? Is it, you know, the racing thoughts, or you know, very simply, I could fall asleep but then wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. So something as simple as, okay, having your last cup of tea or your last glass of water earlier in the day, that, you know, a lot of us forget about that, and we just kind of like, oh, I forgot to drink my 8 or 10 or whatever glasses of water, and you're downing that.
And then you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning going, oh my gosh, I'm disrupting my sleep.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good one, because the thing is like a lot of people don't realize is that, if you're drinking water, and it's generally after around 7 or 8 o'clock at night, if you're drinking water after then you'll find that your bladder will not empty it until probably about 4 to 6 hours after that. So that's why we wake up in the middle of the night. And it's a perfect point. Herbal tea, I do have herbal tea every now and then at night, and I know that I need to have it earlier because I wake up in the middle of the night having to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
And back to your point about the racing mind, one of the things that I do recommend to clients is actually having a journal. And just sort of have a closing off of the day, is to be able to write down what's on your mind, what you need to do. Even putting that beside your bed, because sometimes you go, oh, that's right, I'm supposed to have done that. If you have your little journal, if you have your little book beside it, you can write that little note there, and just give yourself that peace of mind that now you have that in there, you can read it in the morning, so that way you're not compounding thought on top of thought.
Yeah, I really like that.
One thing we do practice at home is actually setting candles at nighttime. So instead of putting the lights on the house, what we do is we actually put tea light candles around, so it sort of calms the mood of the situation. Checking
essential
emails.
Oils.
Yeah, essential oils are great, right?
Yeah.
Tea tree oil is also really good.
Yeah. Lavender.
Lavender, yes. So these are great things to sort of help you calm down. And the one you mentioned before is about checking your emails at night. Is like I don't really sort of have too much. I don't struggle with being able to switch off even after reading that stuff. But if you do find that I would suggest you try it. Try getting onto your phone, and then the next night not getting on your phone, and see how the quality of sleep that you have. So they're the sort of ways that I would look at improving the quality of sleep. But you mentioned a couple of supplements. You mentioned GABA. You mentioned different types of
magnesium is actually a really great, and it's safe.
Yes.
Right. Magnesium. Yeah. With magnesium especially, I see that actually a lot of minerals, magnesium, selenium, zinc, I see a lot of deficiencies in that, just because of our soil nowadays is just depleted. So even if you're saying, well, I'm having all my salads or I'm eating organic, it's very probable that a lot of you are deficient in a lot of minerals. And magnesium is a big one because it's responsible for thousands of pathways.
Thousands.
Yeah,
wow.
thousands. And so magnesium, really good to just help calm our body. If you're having cramps as well, that's also one telltale sign that you could be deficient in magnesium or calcium actually. So if you're having those like cramps in the middle of the night, then that's one thing to look out for. And also cravings for chocolate.
Oh.
So if you're craving chocolate,
I need more magnesium.
And it could be also maybe an excuse to have like a nice, 99% like piece of raw chocolate, because chocolate is one of the richest forms of food sources of magnesium.
Oh, that's right. Okay, there you go.
So there's an excuse to have your
there you go.
Good
so
chocolate,
99% though.
Yeah, and raw.
Let's try that.
Chocolate.
And raw chocolate. Okay, so my 40% dairy milk kind of chocolate's not going to cut
Check it out.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. So, and the other one that I also have been using is CBD oil as well. Have you used that before?
I have. So for myself, CBD works when I'm like, I need to be like really stressed. I don't need to be, but when I'm really stressed, or actually any inflammation, when I find that if I'm perhaps even like overtrained or haven't been eating that well, with the holidays, Thanksgiving just happened yesterday, so maybe having like that slice of a pumpkin pie could actually cause inflammation in my body. My body is a little bit more sensitive, so when I know that I'm inflamed, I'll actually take some CBD to kind of calm things down.
Yeah, well, I CBD oils are sort of like quite new on the scene, right? Because for a long time it hasn't been sort of separated from the the cannabis plant. But the research that I've been reading on it is that it does help with your sleep. It does help you decrease the inflammation in the body. And I suggest that if you do have poor quality sleep and you have been using magnesium and you've been combining that with a vitamin B complex, because you best to combine it with vitamin B complex, is that right? And then, you know, if you are doing all those things like getting the lights off and things like this, is perhaps even trying CBD oil, because at the end of the day, it is a plant. It is a natural form. You're not going to be using any sort of drugs or anything like that, a pharmaceutical drug. So I suggest that if you're not getting good quality sleep, is try those things that we mentioned, which was, getting the lights off early in the night, getting, that water or the tea before you go to bed early enough so that way you don't wake up in the middle of the night.
Shutting off.
Shutting off your mind, or you're just shutting off the lights and so forth, and maybe even journaling before going to bed. And the number of things that we mentioned about the different types of supplements that you can also use. And like I said, number one healer to be able to heal your body when you're sick, or to be able to prevent you getting sick, is sleep. And so that leads us into the next one. The next one is food. The food that we have is and I always look at food as a bit of a minefield, right? I mean, people are like, oh, it should be vegan, it should be vegetarian, it should be keto, should be, and everything else in between, just a well-balanced diet.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's always been around more of a well-balanced diet, trying to get as many different types of foods into me, so I get a wide range of foods, minerals and vitamins and nutrients into my body into that. Generally, most of us will sort of gravitate to probably about 8 to 10 foods, and that's pretty much all we have. So how do you sort of, what advice could you give to us about how to use nutrition as a way of being able to build an immune system strong enough to fight the common cold and the flu?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is, because I do see a lot of different clients, and I find that actually our relationship with food needs to be repaired. So instead of saying, okay, because the holidays are coming up, right? And we are going to have that, the turkey with the extra gravy and the cake and all
chocolate.
Of that, and the chocolate. Yeah, it might not be 99%,
Hell no.
But it's more of like the relationship with food. And so allowing ourselves to enjoy that piece of cake, but also understanding, okay, I'm having this extra sugar, I'm having, these maybe refined carbohydrates. What is that going to do to my body? Understanding also how your body responds to it. Your body might respond a little bit differently than mine. And then using other foods or even supplements to mitigate the effects of it, right? So if I know, okay, actually I just don't do well with maybe like refined carbohydrates, I might then choose to have just a little bit of, let's say like the pudding or something, and then opt for the root vegetables, and using that to offset. So you're still enjoying the meal with family, but having like those healthier alternatives. And I'd say antioxidants can be really, really powerful, and you can find them everywhere. Like have your green tea with maybe your Christmas meal. Or include more of the spices and herbs in your cooking. And that's one other thing, when we get to cook ourselves, whether you're cooking like the turkey or you're baking a pie, it's always going to be healthier and better for you than something store-bought or, brought in. Of course, find like a healthier recipe, but, because you're going to want to choose maybe the healthier sugar or the flour that's, not
the healthier sugar. Is there such a thing?
Or sweetener, right? Like coconut sugar is probably going to be better for you, right?
Fair enough.
Than just white processed sugar. So it's like the spectrum. In the holidays, you're probably not going to be like that militant with your diet. But yeah, just being able to go in and out, and actually that's the best measurement of health, when we can go in and out of our quote-unquote cheat days, right, and then jump back into a healthy lifestyle and still feel okay.
That's a really good point, because the thing is like, you want to enjoy yourself over the Christmas break.
Yeah.
And I do find that you're going to have cheat days in there. I practice an 80-20 rule, which is 80% of the time I live really, really well, and 20% of the time I just take the gloves off
nuts.
and eat everything I want. It's chocolate. And the thing is like, it's a really good balance, because I know that if I start going less than 80 eating healthily, then of course I start to feel lethargic and tired and so forth, and it's difficult to be able to keep that 80 over Christmas. Let's just be really honest. But what I do, I use other things to be able to help with my nutrition. First thing is like, when I'm eating, I try to get as organic as I can. Yeah. The other thing is like, I combine, if I'm going to go out and have a great, luscious meal and all the trimmings and stuff, is I may even, drink lots and lots of water beforehand. I might even have a healthy meal before I leave, so that way I don't overeat when I go out.
Yeah.
And and being mindful when I'm eating as well is that if this is for to build immunity, and the thing is like, if I can get good quality foods into me, I tend to go towards more the proteins and the fats and stuff like this. But not everyone's going to be like that. Like I've had people that are vegetarian and vegan. But try to do that 80-20 on your plate. You have 80% of the meal that you're having is good quality food, and then 20% is that dessert, and however you want to play it. You can even reduce the amount of starchy carbs that you have, so that way you can enjoy your desserts. And one thing I really like doing with the nutrition is like, afterwards, I go for a walk.
Yeah.
So I can get those digestions, get my digestion going in my stomach, and it makes me feel better. And especially if it's at lunchtime, I go out and get some sun, I get it on my skin, and that's a great way of doing it. So when it comes to nutrition, like, it is a minefield, and you're right, the food for you is different to the food that I will be, and it'll be different to you as well. So you really need to sort of play with it and find out what works for you, because you've got at one end, you've got the vegan and vegetarian, you've got the keto and the carnivorous up the other end. Where are we? Where are you in between? So you might be able to recommend a book. A book that I use is called the How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy book by Paul Chek. And Paul it has created a questionnaire that actually determines whether you're a carbo type or a mixed type or a protein type. Generally, most of us are mixed types.
Yeah.
But some people just don't even realize that they're more of a protein type than they are a carbohydrate type, and because they eat too much carbohydrates, that they go to the other extreme, and they feel tired, their immunity drops, they put on weight and so forth.
Yeah.
And
I think at the end of the day, it's really just about finding that awareness, right? I think we've learned to ignore ourselves, ignore our bodies, and so when we're aware of, okay, this food, this is how I react to this certain food, then
really good point.
Yeah, so
really
it's having, that's why it's like rebuilding that relationship with food, that it's not like, oh, this food is evil or this food is bad. Well, there's some evil foods, but
ugly, I call it ugly.
But it's understanding how your body reacts to different foods and how it processes it.
Yeah. And that's a really good point. It's just being aware of how food makes you feel. With the book that I mentioned, How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy, it has a food rotation. So you can with a very, very easy way of being able to work out what you're allergic to. And so I did this a few months ago, and I found out I was allergic to beef. So when I took beef out of my diet, I felt much better. So this is a great way of being able to find that out.
Of beef.
All kinds of beef.
Like grass-fed.
Oh, grass-fed. Okay, that's a good point. So I only eat grass-fed. I only eat organic. So when I was having this stuff, I actually felt tired on those days I was having beef. So the whole idea of the food rotation, real simple, is like on a Monday I'll have beef, Tuesday I'll have chicken, fish I'll have on Wednesday, and I'll have pork or vegetarian on Thursday, and then I rotate them. But on the beef day, I would be falling asleep on my couch about 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. And then the other days I was fine. And then all of a sudden I'd do beef again, I'd be falling asleep on my couch. So I realized I was intolerant to it. So I took it out of my diet and replaced it with lamb. And voila, I felt much, much better. And then I'm getting that full rotation of different types of amino acids in there.
Wow.
Yeah. So is there any?
Yeah, it's like the elimination.
It is.
Elimination diet.
It is very much so. Very much so. So what sort of supplements would you also recommend around nutrition as well? Because like I said, we don't sort of, a lot of people say, I eat really well, right? They always say that, but what my concern is, and my question to many is that, well, how much of that stuff is varied enough to be able to give you everything that you need?
Exactly. Yeah, it's the variety. These days, we're used to eating, like you said, like those 10 items, right? And even with meats, right? Even if you're having all of the pork, the fish, the chicken, there's bison, and there's all of these other animals that, sorry to the vegetarians and vegans, but same thing with our vegetables and our grains, right? We're eating wheat and the quinoa now, and but there's so many different, like hamut and all the ancient grains, and we're missing actually a lot of nutrients. And actually it goes back to what I mentioned at the beginning, is our soil, right? So life is actually in our soil. A plant grows, it feeds the animal because of the soil. And if our soil is depleted, the vegetables, the grains, your animals, your meats are going to be depleted of nutrients as well. So you could be eating organic, you could be eating a good variety for our modern day, but coupled with, the stress on our life, the constant stress, whether it's from work or whether it's from just
pollution.
Pollution or like the Wi-Fi that's coming through, right? It's constant stress on our cells.
The smells of the paint, the types of like shampoos and stuff that we use to wash our stuff with.
Or even just the fact that we live in high rises, or we're constantly in high rises. We're not grounding back with the earth and getting that energy.
Feed into the grass.
Back, yes. So actually our bodies are in a constant state of, needing energy, nutrients, to keep it going. And so we're depleting it through our lifestyle, but we're also not getting enough of it because of our food system. So, as cliche as this may sound, actually just a good multivitamin that has your minerals, that has your vitamins, that, it's not like you're going for, I don't know, like a zinc or, a single nutrient that you might be like, oh, will I overdose, and all of these concerns. But usually a multi has like a lower dose of basis, just to have a good foundation. And then from there, that's when okay, so if I'm already taking a multi but I'm still having these issues, then maybe actually there is one specific nutrient, maybe like a magnesium or vitamin D, that you need to top up on, or like a B complex.
I see. So having the multivitamin is sort of like the baseline of the supplements, right? And then you can add stuff on top of that, and that makes sense. That really does make sense. The multivitamin we use here, we have the brand is Good Green Stuff, which is it's not Good Green Stuff now. It's called Good Green Vitality.
Okay.
And that has like 70 different types of amino acids and minerals and nutrients and vitamins in the product. So I use that as a base. But then this time of year, right? I mean, vitamin C is definitely one that I would put in there, and having big doses of it. Yeah, vitamin D3, absolutely. And then we mentioned zinc.
Zinc, really important for immunity. I mean, even with COVID, I don't know if I can mention COVID, but
we'll get picked up.
Don't block us.
Yeah, we'll get blocked. Yeah.
But there's so much research around D, zinc, these two nutrients in particular. Yeah, just because of like inflammation, with the respiratory, it's the inflammation, COVID. And so, D, zinc, C, these are kind of like the three, for immunity for me, this is like the three nutrients that I really focus on.
Yeah. And just to be clear, a good unlocker of that magnesium, I was using vitamin B complex as well. So they're the ones that I would recommend, and any others from you?
For immunity?
Yeah.
I I think those are good. Like, I mean, you could get into like echinacea and things like that.
Yeah,
right? Like
true.
the herbals.
Yeah.
And also it's, like with the B complex, actually, what I love, I call it kind of like an adaptogenic vitamin rather than because
an adaptogenic vitamin.
Because it could help boost, your energy levels. It could give your cells energy, but it can also help, calm you down as well, and help you get into like that rest mode. So well,
there you go. I mean, I agree on all of those points, because the thing is like, like we said, we're trying to get the foundation of the food first, right? So organic, whole foods, finding out what you're supposed to be, whether you're a carbo type, a mixed type, or a protein type. But that's the foundation, and then the foundation on top of that is just getting a good multivitamin to sort of top up where you may be lacking of. And then, like I said, is boosting it with those things of vitamin C, zinc, magnesium, and vitamin B complex. One thing that I just want to mention, and it's not as much around the immunity, but one thing that I do take is the omega-3 oils. So whether that's either in a fish form or whether I take Udo's 369, I've just been taken off the spoon. It doesn't taste the great, but
mix it in smoothie.
It makes a big difference. It really does make a difference. I mean, I'm finding now, I'm thinking clearer, because that whole thing of that brain fog, it's actually improving the communication between my left and right brain.
Yeah. Well, and because every single one of our cells has a lipid layer, right? So if you're feeding your cells with like bad oils or refined oils, the lipid layer will be hard, and so the toxins inside the cells can't come out, and that we don't want that. But also the nutrients that you're having, like even if you're having like the supplements and all that, it won't be able to go in because your cells are not permeable. So you want good, healthy oils. Like healthy oils, it's an essential fatty acid for a reason.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Our bodies can't make it. We have to have it from food sources.
Yeah.
Or your supplements. So.
That's a great point. So make sure that you are having your omega-3 oils, like get lubed up.
Yeah.
Okay, so the final one, I know that we've been going on for a little while, but I just want to touch on hydration. And hydration is one of the things that many people forget about. I say it's like the underrated pillar. You can go you can go weeks without eating food. But you can literally only go days without drinking water, and we have to detox our body by drinking water and being able to get our organs flushed with water. And our body is made up with 80%, 85% of our body is water. Yeah. So hydration is really important. What would you say about water and how you can better hydrate your body?
I like to just add flavor to water because you're more likely to drink more water, and whether it's a squeeze of lemon, that will also help balance your pH, help flush out things, or when it's cooler now within the weather's cooling down, ginger is really good, and also with holidays when you're eating a lot, ginger will help with digestion. So adding these things into your water will also just help you drink more water. A lot of the times it's like, well, I'm not going to have like my glass of water because it's boring, right?
Well, one of the things we use is mint. So, leaves of mint and putting that in the water, that sort of flavors that water as well. You can even slice in not just lemon, but you can even slice orange in there, like cucumber is another one we use. Yeah. So you can also do that. I was just thinking of having the ginger in the water, having a hot tea. Your lemon ginger tea, and that's a great way of also building your immune system too, right?
Yeah.
Another one you can have is like I use sparkling water. I mean, I'm not a big fan of sparkling water, but my wife loves sparkling water, and she drinks more water because it's sparkling.
She likes it, yeah.
But the thing is with sparkling water is that I do is just make sure that it's mineral water with the sparkling, as opposed to soda water, which is distilled.
And then very acidic.
Very acidic.
Yeah.
So if you are going to drink sparkling water, make sure that it is mineral water as opposed to soda water. And and that's only my personal preference, is that we should be drinking water how it's made.
Yes.
So drinking water as plain rather than sparkling. But you can offset it just so that way you get the amount of water that you should be drinking every day.
Yeah.
How much water should we be drinking?
Well, you should actually never be thirsty. Like that's actually, you shouldn't wait until you're thirsty, right, to be drinking water. How much you need, it also depends, like where you live, your lifestyle, right? If you're sweating a lot, how heavy you are, whether you're sick, you probably need more water to flush things out. But water also is a great way to, like, I think you mentioned earlier, like you'll drink maybe more water before going out to like that holiday meal, so that you're eating a little bit less. So actually this is also a good way to, if you want to maintain your weight through the holidays, because the last thing we want is to pay for it in the new year. But you can go see Nate and he'll help you out with that.
Yeah. Well, I the thing is with hydration is that, and it was a little bit of a loaded question, because we have a formula, and the formula is times your weight by 0.03. So if you are 100 kilos, you should be drinking 3 liters of water. If you're 50 kilos, obviously 1.5 liters of water. And that applies to kids as well. Now, when you exercise, obviously you lose anywhere between 600 and 800 mils of water in an hour while you exercise, under strenuous exercise. So being able to top it up. But how I say is how much water you should be drinking, you should be looking at your urine. Once your urine is like clear or hay color, then you're good. If your urine is really dark color, man, get some drinking of the water. And what Denise said was like, listen to your taste buds. If you are if you're dry, you're already 3% dehydrated, so it's already decreasing your performance. If you're 5%, you pass out, and if you're 10%, you're dead. So if your mouth is already dry, you got to make sure that you drink some water, and drink it now. So if you are thirsty right now, if you feel that, go and have a pause, and then go and have a drink of water.
Lemon water.
Yeah.
Or ginger.
Yeah. Now, any supplements that you would recommend? I mean, I use a supplement called Restore, and Restore is, it's electrolytes and chlorophyll and stevia to sweeten it a little bit.
Okay.
So there's no sugar involved. But is there any sort of things that you use to sort of get
for the hydration?
Yeah.
Actually, I like to just put a little bit of Himalayan salts just to make sure I'm getting the minerals. But I don't do too much in terms of supplementation to hydrate. I just make sure that, okay, I know what my preference is to get myself drinking water, and that's what I'll do. I like my lemons and the cucumber, like the fresh things. And then in the morning, I always go more towards ginger, just to get my metabolism going, my circulation going. And yeah, that's what works for me. Okay.
Well, then that's great. I mean, for me, it's always been around making sure it's mineral water, as opposed to distilled water. Just by the way, if you live in Hong Kong and you're getting that light green bottle called Watson's water, that's distilled water. So, and then of course they've got the highbrow, which is the blue one, and that's mineralized water. But mineralized.
Yeah, that's the key.
But then they have the next level, right? And the next level is mineral water, like the Volvics, the Evians. I get Australian spring water, and that's really good. The reason why I get Australian spring water, because it's a thicker plastic, and the degradation of the plastic is less into that than saying like in an Evian bottle or a Volvic bottle. And that's a really good point, is like just being aware of what your water's in. Is it in plastic, or is it in glass, or is it in stainless steel, or even better, even in clay?
Clay?
Yeah, put it in clay pots, because the minerals and the nutrients from the clay actually goes into the water as well. Yeah. So there are ways of being able to get that. And like I said, water is we're made of 85% water. So making sure that you're hydrated is really important to be able to keep your immune system high, because you keep flushing that stuff out all the time.
Yeah.
And coming back to the water, cold showers. Have you done those?
Oh, yes.
Dang, they're great.
Yes, I I've come to love them, actually. But what I do, especially with this change of weather, is I do the hot first. And then I'll do the last, 5-10 minutes of being cold. Because actually, with the hot and cold back and forth, that is actually better than just going straight cold.
Yes. They use this hot and cold, and the whole theory behind it is like when you go cold, all of the blood from your limbs go into your organs and flushes the organs for the fresh blood. And then when you go to hot, it flushes it back out into your arms and legs. So if you keep doing this all the time, then you're oxygenating your organs. And look, your kidneys and your liver are all trash cans of our body. And if we can
lymphatic system.
So if we can keep exercising those in a way that you are going to heal your body.
Yeah. It's a good way to exercise without actually exercising.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that brings us to the end. So I really, really appreciate your time. So thank you so much for being here. Is there anything you want to sort of leave everyone, leave us with, a couple of like top 3 tips that you would say to build your immune system?
Building the immune system. Yeah, I think one big thing that people forget a lot is actually it does take planning, but when you get into it, you'll know, okay, well, the season's coming up. This is what I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to be intentional about drinking my water or planning my meals or getting better sleep. So, Nate and I have been talking a lot about all these tips, but it has to come with that, that first thought, like, okay, this is what I'm going to commit myself to. And it just starts there, and then it'll become easier. We talked a lot about all these tips that you could do. You don't have to do all of them. You can just start with one. Start with one thing. It could be, okay, well, actually, my sleep is really poor, and I'm just going to really focus on my sleep. Or you really want to focus on like the nutrition aspect of things. So, it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Focus on that one thing that you really want to work on, and then it's that commitment. Like the consistency is key. Consistency is what's going to build us up for success. The planning and then the consistency. So choose something that that works for you and stick to it.
Awesome. So what I heard is commit to it, making that plan, choosing one thing, right? Don't try and even get 10 things going. Maybe just choose one, and then of course continue to keep consistent. I always say one thing that I always say is repetition is the mother of skill. So making sure that you do those 3 things. Well, thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate it. Yeah, it was great. So I hope you guys got great information. Until next time, thank you very much, Denise. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.